So you wanted to complain about a few things?
I wanted to ask you a question.
Okay.
How many tablespoons are in a cup?
I could probably answer that question. No, I can't.
The fact that you have to pause and think about it tells us the problem there, which is like these units are dummy units. Yeah, I know what a tablespoon versus a teaspoon are because these are like relative things. Prefer when I'm cooking and the time I'm cooking, I might use them. But to me, it's speaking to a bigger problem, a thing I'd like to fetch about, and that's scientific illiteracy. So we're starting off behind the 8 ball here in our educational system because we're not starting with like sensible, makes any damn sense units. I'm going to complain a little bit about Fahrenheit. Not that I think Fahrenheit is terrible. I get why people like Fahrenheit. There's the joke, right? Like Fahrenheit's great. 0 is a 0% warm and 100 is 100% warm. Any more than that, you're going over. Any less than that, you are freezing cold. But it doesn't tell me anything useful. Like, do you even know what temperature it's going to snow at in Fahrenheit?
I mean, isn't it like 32? Or
you guessed it.
Probably. Yeah. It's a perfectly sensible number.
Yeah. The problem here is that people don't have the fundamental fact-based knowledge to make crucial life choices. And it starts with like something simple, like we're not even using proper units in America to like lead us towards success. So we're already saying, well, it's all inscrutable. I can't figure science out. It doesn't make sense. Do my own research. Because if your numbers between it's going to be cold and I'd like to make a nice cup of tea are 32 and 212, then asking someone to say, well, should you get vaccinated with an mRNA vaccine? You didn't set yourself up for success because the basics of that scientific knowledge haven't been building your whole life.
It's too complicated. Yeah. Like you don't personally have the ability to make a decision that's like informed not informed, but like
when you say you personally, I'm a little hurt.
Yeah.
But you get my point, which is that the average person feels already like, well, we're hitting those people up with like, what do you mean there's Fahrenheit and Celsius? So first off, that's bad. Mm. And then secondly, like we have this one we use here, which uses these numbers, which makes 72 or 69 feel nice. But what's that number in Celsius? It's 12.5. Like that does feel a little weird. So I can kind of get why people like human scale number like Fahrenheit. And for as bad as it is in America, at least we're not Britain where they say they do Celsius and metric units, but just don't. They do both. And then to the point where like, oh, he weighs 6 stone or something ridiculous. What this does is it not only does it confuddle people in a way they should not be like confused. Anyone can have basic fundamental scientific literacy. We do. We, as a culture, generally speaking, the trajectory tends to go up. Like we do get better about understanding things. The average person today is probably way more computer literate than the average person that was learning computers when I was young.
Sure. Part
of that's because I was young at the dawn of computers in the 1940s or whatever. I don't know. I'm not quite that old. I'm joking, but yeah.
Yeah.
So it opens the door to let people, like well-intentioned or not, like provide bad choices, especially about life or death choices in healthcare.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It creates this hostile environment for health choices, right? So have you ever like done any of like chiropractic or herbal remedies, some traditional Chinese medicine?
I've never gone. I'm so scared of like breaking my neck or back or whatever.
Right.
Herbal stuff like
stop on that. I'm scared about breaking my back and neck. Why?
Well, it seems like a very sensitive area.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, you look at a chiropractor and it looks like they're basically trying to snap your neck, which I guess they kind of are. But, it's like just very like sudden movement. I don't know.
I look at what a chiropractor does, like, if you see that type of thing, and then you look at like what ninjas might do when they're fighting. And it's like, oh, I'm going to take out the bad guy, ninja assassin, crack. And it's like, oh, thank you, so much better.
So you're worried that the lack of education in, let's say, science is leading to quack science?
Well, Yes, and there's multiple levels, right? You have the outright hostile. I'm a dipshit trying to do something. I use dipshit a lot. It means someone who's confidently incorrect, but also malicious. Right?
Sure, it's a technical term.
Yeah. So dipshit that's trying to get clout or make a quick buck.
Like, what's an example? Like,
the reason we have an anti-vax movement in the world, for the most part, is based on this one scientist from, I believe he's from England, Dr. Andrew Wakefield. I used to be a doctor. He's been his doctorate has been removed. He's not allowed to practice medicine anymore.
Okay, because of this stuff?
Because he would publish. And why is he a dipshit? Why is Dr. Andrew Wakefield a dipshit? Which feels great to say out loud.
And to the masses as well.
Yeah. Everyone clap.
all the 4 listeners, I think.
All of us. Dr. Andrew Wakefield was trying to get his vaccine out there, and he wanted to show that this other vaccine that was competing with his was dangerous. It had this mercury in it, thimerosal or whatever. And that sounds scary. I don't understand what thimerosal is, but this is a dipshit behavior, right? He's trying to come after someone else's science, and then it didn't work out for him, and now we have Jenny McCarthy and Jim Carrey and everyone else out there latching on to this and saying, well, my kid has autism because vaccines have mercury in them. And it's just not true.
Yeah. If it is true, then it's good. But if it's famous people saying things that aren't true that are influencing other people, that's obviously a problem, right?
Yeah. Now, I don't believe that if you go to a traditional Chinese medicine, alternative medicine healer type person, or someone who uses crystals and pyramids arranged in just the right way, or is going to read your blood like the Japanese, there's a Japanese histology thing about reading blood. They're not trying to do bad. They're fulfilling their worldview. And it's weird when it's backed up as, it's Chinese traditional medicine instead of alternative medicine, because it's the well-meaning people of pre-Enlightenment era China have just as good science and medicine as the research and shown to be safe and effective medicine that we use in the West. And Western medicine is seen as somehow bad, and traditional medicine, because it uses air quotes, herbs and natural stuff. I've killed this white elephant and brought you its horn in powdered form. Snort this, and you're definitely going to get a huge dong. This is good, whereas something shown that won't cause cancer of the prostate would be bad. And I bring that example up because that sort of thing kind of can happen.
Yeah. Well, it's sort of believable that this ancient, foreign, mysterious thing might do something, especially if there's some sort of explanation behind it, right?
Right. Yeah, sure. Go on.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just trying to understand the side of the people who would believe all this.
Yeah. Well, we hear all the time about the people that used herbal medicine, and they're, in addition to Western medicine, they used herbal medicine and they got better. We don't hear about the people that used herbal medicine and Western medicine and died of cancer. We just discount that story altogether.
Yeah, you hear the good stories. Well, no, sometimes you hear people like Steve Jobs, right, who sort of declined, I guess, Western medicine and instead ate a bunch of mangoes or something.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. It's a Walter Isaacson book, is that right?
Something. Yeah, I think they talked about it in there.
The phrase was, he would scream, "I'm a fruitarian," to his mom growing up.
So wait, why do you think people distrust the Western medicine?
Oh, you've nailed it. Yes. There is a history of poor industry behavior in the West, right? So going way back, if we want to just focus on Americans being bad about science, phrenology, right? The belief that measure your skull, I can tell that you're a superior Anglo-white dude from England. You're an inferior person from some non-Christian stock. They used to use that phrase a lot. Therefore you're bad. But even modern times, even current day behavior, we can see a history of very poor use of science, which is the typical story of capitalism, right? We want all these benefits, but we don't want to have to handle the consequences. So some examples I have, mental institutions, right? You get institutionalized, and when do you come out? When it stops being profitable to keep you? You ever read The Psychopath Test?
No, but there's real I'm assuming there are real qualifications that you must meet in order to get out of the...
We've changed in my lifetime, have like redone how mental care happens, and we have different understandings. We know more about the biology and the physiology and neurology of brain science, and it's still very much an evolving field. But my point is, like, historically, that's the case, right? If you were gay, bisexual, transgender, institutionalized, why? That's a disease. Well, some of this is maybe culturally, we say that is fine. We don't see that as disease. We don't have that one worldview about gender is somehow better than others. And if it's not, we need to, isolate and ban it. And then there's like some of the pre-Environmental Protection Act shitty behavior, leaded gasoline, just lead everywhere, right? That goes all the way back to Rome, right?
Well, but it's not, it wasn't like intentional. It was unknowing, right? Like we just didn't know about.
Well, and then, until we did. And then it was like, oh, we have to phase this out somehow. These are just examples of like the use of the science has gone further than our understanding of what the side effects were, right? So this is justifying the person whose worldview is like, I can't trust Western medicine. Look at lead, look at DEET, look at thalidomide, right? Are you familiar with thalidomide?
No, I was going to ask, but okay. I was assuming you were going to at least, yeah.
Well, let's just jump in. It used to be like, oh, you're suffering from morning sickness. Well, we have this drug that'll make you feel better, thalidomide. And sure, it might make you feel better. And then they found out if you took thalidomide, it just skyrockets your chance to have congenital birth defects.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So maybe you've met someone who's had like fused fingers or misshapen anatomy in some way. So depending on their age, if they're like my age or older from a different country, you might just assume, like rightfully so, that their mother took thalidomide. And in America, we have the FDA for Food and Drug Administration. They have to like clear the usage of a drug to make sure it is safe and effective, right? So if you took some substance and it made your morning sickness feel better, great, that's effective. But if you took some substance that made you feel better, but also was not safe for you or your unborn child, that would never get approved, hypothetically speaking.
Well, until you have a global pandemic and then they rush approve something.
Right. Well, so this is great. This gets into like the science discussion, right? So if we wanted to get into like why would I trust an mRNA vaccine? Why would I trust any vaccine? Right?
Yeah.
Well, your scientific brain might be working right now. You're like, okay, the reason I trust, let's take it to a different example, something that's a little bit easier to describe.
Yeah.
Is 5G going to cause you brain tumors?
The 5G internet, like cellular internet?
The stuff that's going through your body right now, every minute, every second of your day.
I mean, I'm always worried that all these like waves are going to cause some problem, right?
All right. So how Bruce Banner became the Hulk.
Due to 5G.
He was hit with waves of energy, which is, 5G's in that is also on the electromagnetic spectrum, right?
Yeah.
So if we say, well, all right, are cell phones dangerous? I do hold a cell phone next to my head when I speak. I prefer that because I'm old. So the transmitter is right up against my skull. Am I worried about that at all? No. Because if you just understand the electromagnetic spectrum and how it works, there's visible light sort of when I look at it, it's smack in the middle. We put visible light there. And then there's all that stuff that's infrared heat coming off of you. Mm-hmm. That's one of the things you can see with a night vision goggles. You can see heat. And then it goes all the way down to like low frequency broadcast, And this, everything, visible light all the way down, can't hurt you. Why can't it hurt you? Because it's non-ionizing. It doesn't have the energy needed to change the molecules or atoms in your body. It can't really excite like an electron from a lower state to a high energy state.
Where are X-rays in this?
X-rays, everything. Ultraviolet light, right? Why should you wear sunscreen? It's so funny how you hear people talk about don't use cell phone too close to your head, but they also don't use sunscreen. It's like sunscreen is, right there, and we know it damages your skin, right?
Sunscreen damages?
Light. Yeah.
Or sun damages your skin?
The sun, sorry, not sunscreen.
Yeah, sorry. Like where are you on this quack scale here?
I'm high in the squawk, the sun. So anything that's, higher than the violet on the visible light scale is ultraviolet. Mm-hmm. And this is where it starts getting damages. So if you walk outside in the sun, you're going to damage your skin, damage your body, way worse than the cell phone that's operating at a millimeter, at milliamp scale amplitude.
So like walking in front of the sun is more dangerous than walking in front of a 5G tower?
Yeah. And then it keeps going up from there. It's like, microwaves, those are probably not great for you either, right? Like you keep coming up. It's like, okay, gamma rays. So that end of the spectrum is where the bad stuff happens. So please wear sunscreen and don't worry about 5G. You just don't need to worry about it.
You're saying, well, so 5G, well, I'm assuming 4G, 3G, all these things are similar. Like,
yeah, they're all working the same band.
And it's like the waves are like longer or something, or is that shorter? Okay.
Yeah. Ultra gives you the hint with the ultraviolet, faster, more. Whereas infra is inside and less. So infrared is safer than red, potentially. I don't know. Anything less than ultraviolet.
And these cellular waves are on the infra side? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So you generate more energy, maybe I should say. The frequency that your body heat operates at is hypothetically more energetic than a cell phone or your Bluetooth or your Wi-Fi. And people complain about this too. So, when I'm in a room with Wi-Fi, I get these migraine headaches. I can't stand it. This is a real thing people say. And I'm like, cool. So when they do scientific studies, it's like, okay, they just put people in a room. All right, this room is a Faraday cage. That box may or may not have an operating Wi-Fi signal. And people like, I'm getting a headache. I'm not getting a headache. Guess what? 50-50.
So this is important for people like me who I'm afraid of, my cell phone damaging my head and my, if I put it in my pocket, right? Like,
right.
And even you saying this right now and like having these scientific facts, I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I still don't want to put this next to my head, even though maybe it's completely safe. So like,
yeah, well, if you're scared of your cell phone, I don't want you to think too hard about this, but there's this thing called television, which broadcasts electromagnetic rays everywhere all the time, your whole life, that you've been probably saturated in.
From Sutro Tower, right?
If you've lived in San Francisco your life, it's Sutro Tower. How worried are we about that? I don't think you should be. But if you're outside and you're not wearing sunscreen, over time, that's a cause for skin warts, man.
Well,
not warts, but
when I go, I've thought in my head, maybe you're actually maybe like completely changing my life right now. In my head, I'm like, I don't want to live near Sutro Tower because I don't want to be destroyed by the waves. Like, I don't want my brain to be
right. Yeah,
you're basically saying that's just hooey.
The broadcast waves, I wouldn't worry about too much now.
So, like, I feel like I am sort of part of the problem here because I don't know the science. But like, what are you suggesting we do, I guess?
So we can move on from there. But first off, don't feel bad for not knowing the science.
I don't feel bad.
I don't know all the science. I'm excited by science. It's a hobby of mine. I watch these videos on YouTube all the time, and it makes me happy to learn something new. And this is one of the things I like to learn about.
Yeah,
I think there's some clear stuff we could be doing right now about just improving like labeling of things, right? If you go to CVS right now, CVS is full of quack bullshit. There's like a bunch of homeopathy just in the aisle. Do you know what homeopathy is?
It sounds like quack therapy is basically what
it is. Yeah. So what should we do about scientific illiteracy? Well, so when you go to a CVS, there just shouldn't be like quack therapies there. I just think this is bad. It's bad form. If you go into CVS and there's homeopathy on the shelf, why? It's there to make money. That's why. CVS is trying to sell you stuff. Homeopathy is stuff. It's just water.
Just water meaning like alkaline water and stuff like that?
Oh, the way homeopathy works is it tells you that it retains the essence of some substance it's been in, and the X number on the back tells you how often it's been diluted. So if you have a 10X onion, it means there was water soaking in an onion, maybe soaking, who knows? The stuff's just water. You can't prove anything about this scientifically, right?
So you can smell it if it smells like onion.
It definitely won't because it's been diluted 10x times. So like, 1 part per, I guess, 100,000 or whatever, something like this. So it's basically the memory of that onion is in this water. Enjoy. So my point was just like, we shouldn't have quack stuff in pharmacies. That just shouldn't be a thing.
Why do people buy it though?
Well, so this is where it gets to the point where I just like trying to say, hey, you don't feel bad about science. I also feel like you shouldn't feel bad if you're in a situation where you have chronic pain, acute pain, and worst of all, chronic acute pain or a terminal illness. And we look at how Western medicine treats people, and it's profit motivation. So it's about efficiency. It's about squeezing the nurses union. It's about making sure your doctors are paid just little enough to like stop them from going someplace else. So where's the patient fit in all this? If you want a patient-first medicine, guess what? These quacks, that's what they're about. They're really selling you hope. They're selling you a false hope. But I don't feel bad for people who are being targeted by these people, who feel like it's part of their cultural history, who feel like that has some intentional benefit, because it does. They're paying to have someone care about them. And why would they do that? Because the people that should be caring about them most, they're actual medical professionals, there's a gap there. Or there's some supplementation they want to it. So I don't feel bad about someone who's like looking for homeopathic therapy, who's looking for alternative medicine. It's feeling that need. I need to feel like there's more I could do. Wouldn't you do anything to stop your wife, stop your kid from feeling pain or dying?
Yeah.
And, for when anything includes stuff that doesn't work, and worst case of all, stuff that prevents the good medicine from working.
Yeah. Is there much of that out there that actually? Yeah.
So herbal treatments, for instance, when you ask scientists to judge the efficacy of herbal treatments, they find all types of interesting things. First off, you have to ask yourself, how would this work? We don't know. Like aspirin's an herbal treatment. It's alternative medicine that's been proven safe and effective. The name for that is medicine. So aspirin works. Many people are allergic to it. Please don't just randomly hand people aspirin, but it's one of those things. Herbs, just generally speaking, when you get them from like an herbal alternative medicine store, scientists find that they don't have what they say they have in them. And worst of all, they have stuff that isn't in them. And worst of all is that the stuff that they have in them can interfere with the drugs that your doctor is prescribing for you.
Yeah.
My wife is recovering from a cancer. And to give her care team a lot of credit, they said, it's fine. You can go to your acupuncturist. It's not going to hurt you or help you either way. But please don't take herbal medicine, because sometimes the herbal medicine can stop and reduce the efficacy of the actual medicine they're giving her that's been proven safe and effective. Well, or in the case of cancer medicine, proven effective and has known risks, but the risks, the trade-off there is between it's going to have these negative effects or you're going to die. They're just going to make that judgment call.
But now you talking about this, you have the chance to become one of the people who is misinforming, right? Like, I'm not saying you're misinforming. Like, I don't know whether what you're saying is true or false, but I'm just saying, like, anybody who is on a platform, whether it's to 4 people or 4 million people, is potentially going to convince them to do something that is wrong, right?
Well, yeah. First off, I'm not a lawyer. And I'm also not your doctor.
Yeah.
But even your doctor might not be scientifically minded. There are doctors out there that were anti-vaccine.
Yeah.
Right. We're going to rewind back to the conversation. Say, let's talk about 5G instead of vaccines, because 5G is easier to explain. Vaccines have a similar thing, right? So your doctor might say, this type of vaccine we've shown for generations is safe and effective. This other type of vaccine is brand new, and you don't really know the ongoing efficacy of it. Is it like thalidomide? It's got FDA approval. You said, well, they rushed the FDA approval. Okay, maybe they did, but they developed the vaccine, and it was months before we'd seen it's about FDA approval. It took too long. My kids got COVID before they could get the vaccine because they couldn't prove the efficacy with children fast enough. And I'm not necessarily bitter about that, but I felt like at the time I was a little bit upset because there was a known FDA approved Johnson & Johnson vaccine, but they didn't want Moderna to seem less good than Johnson, so they withheld the approval. I don't know. This is to your point. Hey, maybe you're just huxting stuff. This is my tinfoil moment. Or hey, I don't know, man. Maybe they're holding it back because I really don't know. But I don't like that my kids got COVID. That was devastating for my morale.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not a doctor, but I would encourage people to say, if the vaccine was going to hurt me, how could it hurt me? Right? How does mRNA actually work? We know how sort of the traditional vaccines work. We show you some inert chunks of a vaccine. It's not alive. If you just get injected with your flu vaccine, it's not alive. It's inert, dead chunks of a vaccine. But your body says, this doesn't belong in my body, builds up the resistance to that version of the flu virus. And then now you're less likely to have a flu. Or if you get the flu, it's going to come and go in days instead of a week.
Where do the government surveillance nanobots come in? When do they activate inside your vaccine?
That would be so cool. Can you imagine how cool if that really existed,
it would be awesome, actually. Well, I guess, but even if these people knew like the scientific truth, I feel like there's still this tendency to like not believe it, you know? Like if anybody could say like, oh, what do they know? Like they don't know how it's going to act in 20 years, you know, like this vaccine or something, right? Like I'm not actually like actively afraid of that, but I'm passively afraid of that, right? Like I got the vaccine. I probably got like 3 different variants of it, right?
Sure.
How do you fix the paranoia, I guess, in the world? I think you're right that there's a bunch of misinformation and hopium out there. Mm-hmm. If you look back on the COVID vaccine, if I look back on my experience, I couldn't get the vaccine fast enough. You know, I was like, the world seemed like it was ending, right? And so I will believe whatever someone tells me. And, you know, in this case, it was respected medical professionals in the government or whatever telling me that, hey, this is fine, right? Mm-hmm. But, you know, a lot of people don't trust the government, so they trust some TikToker that's telling them to take ginkgo biloba.
Or ivermectin, right?
Yeah, I don't even know what that is, but I know.
Some horse jelly right in your veins. That'll be great. Well, first off, the notion that I should be skeptical is valuable. You should be skeptical. Like I said, there's reasons you should be skeptical of how industry-based medicines, industry-based science has come to our lives. Like think about PFAS, right? Forever chemicals and plastics ending up in your body. Mm-hmm. We should be skeptical about what the motivations were. Why do we have so much plastic in our lives and now in our bodies, or worse yet, your kids' bodies? So yeah, please remain skeptical. Use that skeptical to figure stuff out. How do you figure stuff out in a way that doesn't matter if you're Christian or Hindu, or if you're Methodist versus Mormon, if you're Catholic versus Presbyterian? Right? You should have a way of figuring stuff out that we can all agree is on a shared sort of reality. And guess what? That's science. Science isn't like a belief system. It's not Christianity versus science. And science says that there's this evidence for evolution. There's evidence for a spherical world. And that colludes with my worldview as someone who has got some biblical literist view of the world. Be skeptical of both these opinions, right? People say, do your own research. Yeah, a little bit. Like, you know, don't let yourself get caught saying that because, you know, someone tells me, oh, I did my own research. I'm like, great. What brand of mass spectrometer do you use? Like, oh, you don't know what a mass spectrometer is? Great research, bro.
And also, like, why would I trust myself to do research about this when I don't know anything?
Yeah. I mean, that's where we have to have institutional faith. Like, okay, you know, if you go to your physician, and there are non-scientific physicians out there say, well, like, I don't recommend you get vaccine for your kid. You know, and when you look at this, well, vaccines do have like this rare propensity to have like heart disease for teenagers. So you have to ask yourself, is that a trade-off again? Like the cancer medicine is going to cause these bad things, but the alternative is dying. Most kids don't have the negative effects of COVID, but sometimes they have this, you know, heart condition. That's something you need to talk out with your kid, with your doctor, with yourself, you know. And I don't necessarily hate people for going like, I just chose not to give my kids the vaccine. Okay, you know, if you did the scientific thinking and you thought to yourself, well, how could this work? It does seem to have these side effects. I'm worried because there's a family history of that type of heart problem or any type of heart problem. At least you did the thinking, right? You thought scientifically about it. You say, well, you know, I looked at the hypothesis. I'm looking at these side effects, even though it's super duper rare. You know, is this a real thing that happens? It's like a question I ask myself a lot, like about anything really. But, you know, being skeptical, high value.
Do you think some things should be forced upon people? Like a certain...
Go on.
Well, they used to require you to like show your COVID shot card to do certain things, but that's not like a leak. That was probably like individual.
I think that was sort of the point of that COVID card. Hey, you can be inside the restaurant. You have to show me your card.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, do you need to go to a bar in the middle of a pandemic or the trail end of a pandemic for all getting vaccinated at that point?
In hindsight, I wish I went to more bars during the pandemic or more vacations.
Yeah. I remember fairly early on in the pandemic, I was a hit in March. And then that summer, there are these people that were very, very upset. Oh my God, look at all the people out there in South Beach and in Miami, just out on the beach, having fun with their lives in their 20s. This is bad. Well, it turns out that's probably the safest place for them to be, outside with the wind blowing,
as long as they're wearing sunscreen.
Lies burning. Yeah, as long as they're wearing sunscreen.
Do you think the distrust in big pharma, the government, whatever, is maybe like a healthy check and balance type thing, or is it an unhealthy?
I think it's unhealthy. I think it speaks to like, bigger political issues and sociological issues.
Sure,
people don't trust institutions anymore because the bad thing about globalized communication is that it lets bad actors, whether they're malicious or they're well-intended, like just fill the ether with clout-seeking, click-seeking garbage, right?
Yeah.
Don't do this. It's bad for you. Okay. You're not helping. Maybe you should sit down and let the professionals talk, but it is what it is. I think it's a natural aspect of human condition to be skeptical of things. And I don't necessarily think that that's bad. It's bad when it gets weaponized. It's bad when politicians are saying, oh, you can't trust the fluoride in your water.
Yeah.
Like, okay, here we go again. Like, how can fluoride hurt me?
There's also a similar, not health gurus, but like health influencers on TikTok. Not necessarily about like medical things, but about like, you should eat more protein, the keto thing, right?
Yeah, sure.
And it's like all these little phases and fads and all that. And it's almost like they're not even trying to help people. They're just trying to get famous in a way for having these things. Like,
you're using your skeptical mind to evaluate where their motivations are. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know how to make that better. Like what, because.
Right. Are they bad people for just, I'm trying to be out there to tell people something new every week and I have to tell something new. And this one's something I'm taking in and internalizing and I'm spitting out to the rest of you. I don't know if they're bad.
I don't think they're bad people. No, I think if you're intentionally misinforming, intentionally like hurting people, then maybe you're a bad person. But I think they're just human.
Yeah. I have some more suggestions for what should happen.
Yeah. I'd love to hear that.
Okay. So I said, remove bullshit stuff from pharmacies. Yes. How about like we have nutrition labels? Like you're going to eat this cookie. You should know it's got a lot of sugar and a lot of fat. Trans fats are in there. How about this medicine is good for you, because it comes with a sheet of paper that says here, like every potential side effect it has. But we don't have like clear, like this is not medicine labels. We see them in the pharmacy. You look at it, it says it's got FDA approved. It's approved to be safe to eat. It's a nutritional supplement. That's not medicine right there. You just know that, but it should be more clear. So just to have like a not medicine should just be on it. This is not going to improve your health.
But it's approved that it won't hurt you, basically.
Yeah. So it's this one's safe, but it's not effective, which makes it not medicine, right?
There's an opportunity here with technology in the future of. Let's say everybody's wearing some Vision Pro of 10 years, right? Like you can look at the label and it can sort of pop out like, oh, this thing does this thing, like, and it's like, this will actually help with this.
Yeah. I love that.
Maybe one day.
Yeah, maybe one day. But then, I mean, in the case of like known quackery horseshit, just put a tobacco warning label thing on this. Hey, this is just water. This is not medicine.
Well, the new tobacco label, maybe was it here or in the UK or something, where it's like it just shows some disgusting looking like lungs or teeth.
Like Australia, I think did this.
Is that what it is?
10 years ago or something?
Yeah, something like that. Like it has to be obvious. Like so an example is in Mexico and maybe other places. When you buy a bag of chips or whatever, on the front there's like this. It's pretty huge, like circles saying like exceso calorías, like excessive calories, excessive sugar, excessive fat and stuff. Like
it's a mystery to me when I look at that bag of Cool Ranch Doritos. I had to think to myself, this is health food. It's orange. It's got vitamin C in it.
Oh yeah, right? It's carrots, I think. Is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind that, but in the case of like, hey, it's like homeopathic remedies, or like when you go to the pharmacy, it should just be like more obvious. This is the not medicine aisle. There's another more effective thing we could be doing, which is we should just be having tort reform. It should be easier to sue the shit out of quacks and liars, basically. If you're out there and you're saying like, hey, take the fluoride out of the water or don't get a vaccine, and you say, well, I listened to famous influencer X and I didn't take the vaccine and now class action lawsuit them. Like that should be a reasonable sort of court case to be making.
What's the grounds of suing them? Like if you actually got hurt in some way? Or?
Yeah. I didn't get my kid vaccinated for TB and they died of TB. I should be going after the people that told me don't get the TB vaccine.
Well, but those people protect themselves by saying, do your own research.
So it's free speech, right? That's the trade-off we're saying here is I should have the free speech to say anything I want to at all. Great, except for the parts where when you're using your free speech to hurt people because of your ignorance or because of your deliberate maliciousness, I'm asking for responsibility to come back to where it goes. Like they're not asking themselves, was what I'm saying what's best for everyone? Or if they are, they're saying, and of course it is.
Yeah, it's interesting, but I wonder if it would just make everybody too scared to say anything,
I mean, if you're scared to say, don't drink fluorinated water.
Well, it's people who are like doctors would be scared. It's like it would make them scared to recommend something.
Well, yeah. Okay. I love this. You're changing my opinion a bit. I like that. Let's say it's the 1940s and there's a doctor saying homosexuality is not a mental illness, right? We want people to be able to say that so that we can revisit what we're doing with how we institutionalize homosexual people in America. Yeah, so maybe you're right. Maybe I should ease back on the expectation that if we don't have today's current scientific understanding, we should definitely be shutting it down more.
Well, but the scientific understanding changes all the time, like cigarettes were good for you or something, or heroin was good for you,
Coke in the Coca-Cola, yeah.
It's hard to definitively say one way or another, even when you get more evidence. I don't know.
I do think that another thing I have for improvements is like, when it comes to like our communication around this stuff, like way more good cheer, empathy. Like I was talking about this about caregivers, but when I listen to people talk online and they have the sort of science-based mindset around how we do treatment, how we, approach pseudoscience generally, it's often very condescending. It's
combative, yeah.
And combative and gross. It's like, of course the earth is round. You're an idiot for believing otherwise. Like, well, yeah, maybe. But like, instead of just being total jerks about it, can you be calm about that and reasonable? Like, okay, well, I asked myself this. I watched a few YouTube videos that were like, this guy sort of exasperated, like, I can't believe these idiots believe the earth is flat.
Yeah.
And he's out there debunking their thing. They post some, flat earthers post some things online and, it's various degrees of success. They're doing the science, believe it or not. The flat earthers do science. And it's always amusing when they like buy some $20,000 gyroscope that ships use to navigate and prove the earth is round and then go, well, I can't accept that answer. It's like, well, okay. So you've decided to change the bar on you. Yeah. Great. Move the goalpost. Great for you. But for me, it's great to just be creative and question my assumptions. And like, how would I prove the earth was flat if I've never seen the curvature of Earth, ever. I've never been high enough. You fly in a jet, it's only 30,000 feet high. You don't actually see the Earth fall off the way you do from the International Space Station. And when you see it from the International Space Station, it's like, it actually doesn't fall off that much. It looks, it doesn't seem like it's all that curvy from even there because it's low Earth orbit.
Well, you also, from the space station, you see like one side of the flat Earth coin, right? So it's like,
yeah, that's it.
Well, so there's a lot of problems in the communication around this science too, and like
no one wants to be talked down to.
Yeah,
right? I might, and we all do because our understanding of how the universe works is incomplete.
Yeah,
I don't want to be talked down to for.
Well, but you just called someone a dipshit for. Right?
When they're confidently incorrect, right? Go out of their way to be dumb.
Yeah. No, it's really, there's like an incompleteness of information and also people who are sort of dug into their side and not really, they don't even want to know the other side. And then there's also
right past each other.
Yeah. And there's people who are desperate for something, desperate for in a certain, and so they'll accept anything.
Right.
Especially if all the things.
I want to do more.
Yeah. Even like all the doctors aren't helping them. So they're like, maybe they think that the doctors are incompetent. And so now
there are incompetent doctors too. Yes. Your doctor might be incompetent.
Yeah.
You might be, I can't trust this. Yeah. You're absolutely right. Anything else about science bugging you lately? Let's have a therapy sesh.
No, more psychological than scientific, I think, is bugging me.
I got one. If you don't mind, I think we're kind of wrapping this one up.
Yeah.
I do have another side fetch.
Well, you can do that, but how is there anything else you want to say on that?
So when you go to CVS and you see herbs over here, and you go to the pharmacist. By the way, totally different part of the store that has the actual good medicine, right? Well, not even because I've seen it where it's been like ibuprofen's like right here. And then the next thing over is like homeopathic, whatever.
Is the bull testicles.
Yeah. Endangered white rhino horns are over here. I don't like the perniciousness of the false hope campaign, but it is what it is. Like,
what do you mean?
I was saying, it gives. I'm sympathetic to people that want to go out and seek more. I'm not sympathetic to people that are out there saying that the thing that they're peddling is known good medicine when it is not, right? So if I'm going to see an herbalist and the herbalist says, trust me, take this ginkgo biloba, it's going to cure your cancer, and definitely throw down whatever that quack Western medicine guy did. That's dipshit behavior, right? The dipshit is just saying that my stuff is medicine. Medicine has this standard of being safe and effective. And they're saying that without the FDA clearance to say it, you definitely should sue them when it does not work. And it will not work.
But it doesn't get the clicks if they don't say that it's right.
Or I can't close the deal on this herb remedy. All right. So I have a psych fetch I'm calling Oops, I'm Psycho.
Okay.
So I have like a chronic sinus condition, but I have this time in my life where I was working at a company that had offices in California, where I live, London, and Tokyo. And so I was running these crazy shifts where, I'd work all day and then I would talk to London in the evening. Sorry, I would talk to Japan in the evening and then quick run home, quick come back the next morning, juiced up on caffeine, and then talk to London that morning with the same content I just delivered to Tokyo, and then work the whole next day. At the same time, I was taking these medicines that was clearly in the labels, but my doctor hadn't clearly said to me, like, hey, you should be watching your side effects here because these medicines are known to cause psychosis.
Interesting.
So caffeinated, young guy, youngish.
Lack of sleep. Taking these medicines. And I was like, just the worst version of myself. Yeah.
Especially on this Thursday to Friday turnaround. And the reason I even found out about this is because my curiosity in science and looking into this. And one of the things that I had noticed is like, there's an off-brand treatment, Singular. Maybe you remember Singular? Well, it hasn't been on the shelf for a while because one of the side effects is psychosis. And so I was like, I wonder what happens if I lower my dose. I was like, I actually feel better. So this is a case of I'm not doing what my physician said. I'm not necessarily even doing what scientists say.
Yeah, you're doing your own research.
I'm off the map. I'm doing my own research, right? With my body. So again, like this is where the empathy goes in. It's like, what's best for me? Well, ultimately it comes down to you.
Yeah. So you can totally understand why some people might believe themselves more than they believe a doctor. Yeah.
Well, and again, ultimately it does come down to you. If you're a parent, the pressure's on for you. You have to take care of your kid.
Yeah.
You have to trust your pediatrician to respond. You have to trust the institutions of scientists and governments whose job it is, whether you choose to believe it or not, to try to figure things out, in the case of scientists, and try your best to like keep rules and take care of people, which is ultimately what government should be doing. So yeah, I'm in the mix too. We're all in this together.
Yeah. And then you add in desperation of being, poor, not being able to afford actual medical care.
Yeah. I've had to choose between rent and medicine.
Yeah.
I've had to choose between rent and groceries. Life can suck. Life can really suck.
Yeah, I can imagine. Do you have a final consolidated message for the public about health?
Well, if you're going to do your own research, something that's, what I'm looking for people that are actually going to do and like evaluate research is, are you actually evaluating peer-reviewed studies from scientists? Or are you like listening to health influencers, podcasters, people? Are you listening to your own parents and grandparents? Like, are they telling you something that they've held on to for a long time? And is that the same as saying, well, homosexuals are evil because we've believed this for generations? Or is it something based on science and, empathy and understanding? And I can't underscore this enough. Like when I listen to science people in the socials, I'm always like, is that how you talk to people in a way that's actually trying to convince them of anything useful? Like it makes you feel good to sound like a smarty pants, but if you're making someone else feel bad, I don't think you're actually going to get the desired outcome of changing anyone's opinion.